Hello, guys. Today, my guest is Troy, the founder of ReturnClient company. Hello, Troy. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So, since you're a big expert, I'm a little bit stressed because I've been checking your website, your LinkedIn profile, everything, to tell the truth, and I'm stressed because you have a lot of experience in business generally. So to start, could you tell a few words about yourself, about your professional background and company you're running?
Sure. So I had several companies. That one is ISO Interactive. We did apps, sites, and games for things like Coca-Cola and Xbox Mobile and a bunch of little startups too. We do a lot of like startup apps and things like that. And my other company, as you mentioned, is ReturnClient. That's a newer company. It's taken off. It's going really well. And it was a lot of work to get there, you know, and it's still a very small company. I hope to keep it small, and so we can kind of provide good services. But as far as my background, I'm a designer and a programmer, which is kind of odd. So I graduated as a designer, and I'm a little older than I look. So back then they didn't have all the tools they have now. So they used a designer for the programmer a lot of times back then. I won a lot of awards. I bounced between Atlanta and LA, but here in Atlanta, where I'm at right now, I had website designer of the year several years in a row, things like that. So my background's really in programming and figuring out how things fit together and kind of connecting the dots. So ReturnClient came about. Was a bit interesting. That story was it was actually a big stressor, and we had to create a solution for the stressor. So in Atlanta or in Georgia in general, there are two main threads of clients: the mom and pops, very small companies, and the Fortune 500s. There's a lot of Fortune 500 companies here because of tax breaks and things like that. And majority of my work was in the middle, which kind of evaporated. And these Fortune 500 companies were different. They were more enterprise level. They weren't like the companies in New York or LA or Chicago. Those depend on agencies. So about 10 years ago or so, they kind of want to switch from using agencies to bring resources internal. It killed the whole agency model. So we had a great portfolio, but we were not able to get work because they just didn't work with agencies anymore. So we had to figure a way to get clients outside of that. So I had a good buddy that he moved to New York, and he was doing really well. And I was like, I'm doing awful. How are you doing well? And he goes, well, I was in Argentina before I moved to New York. And he says he got everything off LinkedIn. Built relationships off LinkedIn. And I couldn't understand that because my portfolio is much better than his. I was like, I do better work than you, but you're doing much better than me. What's going on? And, I just found out that I was really bad at relations because I'm a programmer by nature. It's very hard for me to take the time to court the client. And so I just realized I was a terrible dater. Like in life, like if I would date, I was just awful because I know what I like, I know what I want, I know how to get things done, but most people don't operate that way. So I ran into another buddy, and he was in New Jersey. He's like a bona fide sales guy, and he used a lot of automation and some AI stuff. So what I did was I systematically broke down the dating scenario, into steps, into what worked and what didn't work. And I combined those initial steps with some of the automation. And so we want some human assisted automation. So you don't want a push button thing, but you want thoughtful processes that kind of produce good results. And that's kind of the success story of ReturnClient.
Okay, and how does it work nowadays? What's your service about? What do you do exactly nowadays? For example,
Yeah.
let's say, let's start from your target, typical target group, yeah, typical client. What value do you bring to those people?
Clients usually say a few things about us. We save them a lot of time. You know, we're able to connect them to the right people and build that relationship, and we allow them to close deals faster.
Mm-hmm.
And so those are the main things that we provide as a result. How we get to that, well, that we have to identify a good client. Not every client for us is a good client. So
sorry, it's all about consultancy and lead generation, yeah?
relationship building.
Relationship building. That's how you call it.
Yes, because lead generation.
What's the difference, basically?
Yeah, good question. The difference between lead generation and relationship building, you can have a list and you can send out massive amount of information and see who picks it up.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship building are for high ticket relationships,
okay.
high ticket deals, ongoing deals. So
Mm-hmm.
usually lead generation is a very general term that brings in a lot of volume, and it's not about volume. Connecting to the right people and building their trust.
Yeah. I mean, great words, because I don't like the word lead generation. We got used to this word because we are in lead generation agencies, leads. I'm also in inbound sales, and to tell the truth, I don't like calling people who register, for example, for our trial, leads, because I mean, those are people, and what we do here is building, and sales are about building relationships. And I really like the way you approach this topic. That's cool.
Yeah, you have to build a relationship with individuals, especially for high ticket items. And a high ticket item is anywhere between say $1,000 and more a month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for example, an IT company, they may build apps or something like that, and their minimum may be 5,000 and at max is $1 million. That's kind of our range, 5,000 to $1 million projects. It's a big range, but those are high value relationships because it's not just one job. It could be several jobs, and $1 million project could last 2 years. So that's ongoing. So you have to kind of build a personal relationship with those individuals over time. I think you're asking me how I do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I would say that we did a lot of trial and errors. What works for me before may not work for other clients. So the first thing that we have to do is we have to work with the right clients. And so our clients are anywhere between a solopreneur up to a company of 50. It can work with over 50, but that's our general sweet spot. Or 1 to 50 kind of range, because at that range they tend to know what they're doing. They're very agile. They're pretty hands-on. Yet they don't have a solid way of saving a lot of time to convert or communicating their message. And communicating their personality and communicating everything about them and what they offer. Usually companies above 50 tend to have a robust process already, So a client, to be qualified to work with us, there's several things. Number one, their audience has to exist on LinkedIn in an active form. And an active form is the key word. Everyone's on LinkedIn. I think there's 750 million members. There's 2 members joining LinkedIn every single second. So it's a lot of people, right? But not everyone's active. So what we do is we have them go on their Sales Navigator and see who has posted in the last 30 days. If you have a 15% of the larger number on that's pretty active. 15 to 30% is a good active rate for that. That way you can, and then you have to have enough people on there to kind of target, And so a lot of times they target very narrow and very wide. You have to get it a little narrow, but not so narrow that you run out of ability to reach out to individuals. So the number one step is the audience has to exist on LinkedIn in an active form. The other step other requirement is that they have to reply to the incoming information within 24 business hours. If they don't do that in a time and manner, people just forget. So if they're not replying, they're not active, they're not, you know, what I say, if their hands are not in the cookie jar, it doesn't tend to work. You know, and the third item is they have to be able to close a deal. And everyone says, I can close a deal. You give me the people, I'll close a deal. I don't know. Some people can do it, some people can't. And I even have companies where they have sales teams to manage that, and it works really well. And so a lot of my work actually comes from sales teams because they need the quality, you know, quality relationships built prior, and so they can take it over. So those are the three requirements in order to be successful in this platform. It's like you can bring someone to, what's the saying? You can bring a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. So we don't close the deals. The client does, or the client side does.
Okay. So basically you help them to target the audience. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You help them to reach out in a effective way. Yeah. To get those clients, and you basically help them on an initial stage of the selling process, and then everything depends on them. Yeah. How do they?
There's a couple other components. What we do is we save them a lot of time. And we do that by maximizing their account. Say, for example, someone has a LinkedIn account and they have this, I don't know, 5,000 people on their account, right? And those people are kind of relevant to what they're doing. That's a decent size account, not too big, not too small. And so we look at that and we concentrate on personal branding. So it's not messaging is part of it, but the personal branding is that catalyst. It's that first domino that really sets everything apart. So what happens is if people can see your face, they can hear your voice, and you can provide information of value, they end up liking you and knowing you and being familiar with you. Those videos that we produce for clients, we actually produce videos for clients. We take interviews similar to this, and we chop them up to like 12 videos. We try to get them down to 30 seconds to a minute and a half each. And then we also have images that we create that's associated with the videos of the client. Okay. And so we post regularly. So posting on their LinkedIn feed is very important because it gives an air of familiarity to them. And then once we go through the messaging, some of the popular posts we can incorporate inside the messaging. We always have a welcome video. Like when we connect with someone, we keep everything short. We have a very specific set of rules that work well with LinkedIn. So it's all about providing value and communicating effectively. And so we have a formula for each individual campaign. So all the posting, all the videos, all the images you post 3 times a week allows the client to post more than that if they want, and allows them to engage on those notifications. And the messages that we send out, we reach out to several different markets, several different directions at the same time. First level, so you're not leaving money on the table. People always forget about that. You have a network, an existing network. You're not reaching out to them. Why would you not reach out to them in a proper way? You already know them, you know. The other one is a very common one, but we kind of augment it a bit. It's reaching out to your second level and connecting and building a relationship over time. We also have quarterlies done, that sends a quarterly message to the audience as well. And the third campaign on LinkedIn, the third message campaign on LinkedIn is reaching out to your third level people, one shot. And a lot of people say, well, I have to use my email credits to send a message to them. And I say, well, yeah, you do. You have 20 credits a month. Because what's really not enough? I said, no, you handle those 20 credits any way you want. Go beyond the system. I said, we can hit 20 to 60 a day. We do that by identifying the people on the open network. The people on the open network usually have enhanced networks. That means they pay money. There's a bigger chance that they will convert anyway. And so we identify those individuals and able to send them messages every single day. And so that method is a little bit different because it's a one-shot deal versus building a relationship versus people that you know. And so the messages are sent in a little different way. And so you have that first domino, which is your personal branding, let's say with the videos and posts and well-written posts, and you have activity on that. Then you have three.
Just communicating.
Yeah.
With your audience.
Value. And not selling. It's usually about how to do something, you know, or your experience, positive items. Selling doesn't really work well on LinkedIn at all.
For me, it's like combining inbound strategies and outbound strategies, because like inbound strategies, for example, that's your marketing. For example, the content you produce, the way the company communicates with the audiences, right? And also outbound, that's proactive outreach. And basically, as far as I see, you're combining those different strategies.
True. The simple answer is I provide information, or I'm there to help people. Mm-hmm. So people want to work with people, especially in high dollars. They want to know where you're at. They want to know what you look like. They want to know everything about you. So when I convert to having a client, they're doing that based on trust and all the information that they want. So people work with people they know, like, and trust. Mm-hmm. So those are the three things. Those have to be passed in order for them to say yes or have a price negotiation or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. You know? So you have a lot of activity. It's almost like an omnipresence. You have the social media postings and personal branding. You have the three different LinkedIn messaging campaigns that are done intelligently. We have a formula that's proven to work, and it changes every 2 months based on trends and LinkedIn rules and stuff like that. And then we have warm email. We have three others. Remember those quarterlies we talked about? We usually build in 2 quarterly messages on LinkedIn, which is 90, 180 days or whatever. But we also know that people are used to having quarterlies in an email. So we branch that out. We have an email version of it for each one of those. And then what happens if you connect with someone and they don't really use LinkedIn, they don't see the messages? Well, they maybe email people versus messages. Mm-hmm. So we roll that into an email drip. And this is kind of where you guys come in with the help that you provide.
Yeah, that's basically my next question.
Sure. I laugh a lot. That's my problem. So go right ahead.
So I understand. So basically, your service is much more complex than just an email outreach or lead generation, like people use.
I wouldn't say complex. I would say more comprehensive.
More comprehensive, right? That's a great word. Yeah. That's what I meant.
Okay. Means I don't want to do it.
Okay, but let's talk about this outreach element. What is your strategy? And I remember you mentioned in one of your LinkedIn posts that you use Zapier a lot to integrate those workflows, as they called it, smart workflows.
Yeah.
So if you have like any tips that you can share using Zapier, using email automation and LinkedIn together to reach out. So could you please?
Yeah,
share?
So I'll tell you a few things that we're doing, and I kind of mentioned it on the last tip there is when someone connects with you on LinkedIn and they don't respond after a month or so, they may not be LinkedIn people. They may be email people. You want to cover the basis. Typically people get enough inbound where they just have to cover in the gaps. All the money's falling in the gaps. And so you have a layer of personal branding going out with the videos, and you have a layer of messages for proper messages done on LinkedIn, written by a social writer. And then you have another mesh for email. So you're just trying to cover in those gaps in order to capture the right client. And so that's where that omnipresent comes in. So if a client has connected with you on LinkedIn and they have not responded to some of your messages or any of your messages within, say, a month or two, it's time to reach out in a different way. They may be email people, and that's where the email portion comes in. And so how we use Zapier and then how we use Woodpecker, we use those things together. So we have a function on Zapier that, was it Zapier or Zapier? It's Zapier. It's a Zap and Zapier. I'm so sorry.
Zapier.
So we use Zapier to create a Zap that connects that to trigger those 30 days to move that over to a spreadsheet. And then we have another one that pushes that to Woodpecker, your Woodpecker.co, and it goes to a particular campaign. So we have, like I mentioned, we have 3 different email campaigns going on, and we can have even more, you know, if you want it. And it really depends on the particular setup of the client. To give you a typical setup. Another thing we use Zapier for is for helping with reporting. So on LinkedIn currently, we have to manually look at that and determine this person's interested, not maybe in why, you know, like a general information why. And it's very time consuming. So we don't have a way to do that from LinkedIn because LinkedIn is not set up that way. But on the email portion, we do. We're able to click just one of the faces, the happy face, straight face, sad face, and it would submit the information properly to that spreadsheet. On top of that, we have the notifications. So what we do for clients is the client will respond to their emails, respond to LinkedIn messages and notifications as they see it during the day. But there's a 100% chance they're missing stuff and missing very valuable stuff, especially on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn stacks the messages on their little messenger platform. There's no organization, it's gone, it's buried. And half the time, LinkedIn doesn't even post it. You know, like the time you looked at it, it's not there, and the time someone else looked at it, it's there. And it's kind of, and they have so many different versions of LinkedIn out there because they do all the testing and in different countries and constantly making changes. So what we do is we'll congregate that in a list on a spreadsheet. And so that list happens daily. And so we take that portion of that day, we organize it, you know, in most important first, and send an email also. So they have the spreadsheet, they can go for historical data, like, oh, I need to check back from 2 days ago. Oh yeah, and because the person answering it, they will remember. People say, oh, we'll remember. No, if you are in business and you're replying to the people, you can scan that list and you're like, I did not talk to this guy. Oh, I talked to him, but I forgot I need to you know, talk about something else or give them that bit of information or schedule that meeting, you know. And so those are the things we do, from video production to interviews, to creating posts, to writing content for those posts, scheduling those posts. So that's one. We have all the LinkedIn campaigns, those 3 different campaigns, and we have formulas that work really, really well that we test it, we change based on trends. And then you have the email, and then you have the reporting. And then you also have a LinkedIn consultant that helps with your business, that helps with your targeting. We sit with the client and we say, hey, this is the search that we put together based on a conversation and your intake document. And we take all the intake document and we have a meeting with them. And we say, who does not belong on this list? Oh yeah, Johnny does not belong on this list because of A, B, and C. Let's get all the Johnnies, you know, out. You know, in order to make sure that the list is as tight as possible, you know, because you don't want to waste time. And so all those things in combination work really well for the right client.
I see. All right. So in this talk, you mentioned a lot of tips we can learn, and of course we can take it into practice. But to sum up our talk today, could you sum up the most important rules when reaching out to people in order to start these business relationships? The most important rules.
Be authentic. You know, plan to build a relationship. You know, and target properly. You know, some people do a shotgun approach and they don't know who they're talking to. And so it's very hard to have any kind of conversation with them, you know. And the last one is provide value. And not to us, not valuable to us, but valuable to the prospect. For example, it's my job to stay in business. It's my job to do sales, right? But I don't sell. I help. Because what's going to happen is 50% of the people, 50% of my business comes on referrals. So my system is based on building referrals. So when someone comes to me and they have a meeting with me and say, I have this problem with this, this, and this, I say, yeah, this is probably what you need to do to fix it. These are the items. And they do that and they find out that I'm being truthful and they trust me. Oh, this is great. But then they will end up recommending me or working with me later.
It's true.
Yeah, that's the only way to really, really do business. And then you have others that need it right now, of course, but building that relationship, honest and trust, and you're not just to help that individual. People want to work with people, again, that they know, like, and trust. And if you have more interaction with them, honest interaction with them, and they're a viable client, it will work out well. Even if they're not a viable client, they're going to know if someone ever asks, like I'm trying to do business on LinkedIn, I'm trying to do this. I said, Troy's a good guy. He'll get these things. And so anyone that I talk to, there always has a positive note. You have to think about this. People get like messages 10 times a day from LinkedIn experts, right? So why do they call me and not all those other people? Because they feel they know me. They check me out. My profile is solid. They see that everything I offer, I have entire manuals that I give out for free. So I'll tell you how to do everything for free. I mean, I'll tell you what to do, not how to do it. That's the secret sauce. You can do these things and it takes you eight hours a day. There's a lot of stuff going on, or you can hire me and I can probably do it better. And that's really what it comes down to.
Got it. Troy, thank you so much for a lot of insights today. I wish you big success.
I wish my big success too.
Yes, and also guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Also, keep doing experiments like Troy does. A lot of experiments with outreach. Keep trying different ways of reaching out. Be authentic, and yeah, thank you one more time. Bye bye.
All right, have a great day.